Yuka Royer is here in studio. Yuka, you're starting tonight with the day's market action. Wall Street stocks plummeted over uncertainty about Donald Trump's trade policy.
Well, Sharon, the US president's recent back and forth over tariffs on Canada and Mexico has not given businesses the clarity they need. And on Sunday, he refused to rule out the possibility of a recession resulting from his trade wars. This absolutely sent jitters through the markets. The Dow Jones lost 890 points. The S&P 500 closed down 2.7%. And the tech-heavy Nasdaq sank 4%, its biggest one-day loss since 2022. Sharon.
And among the worst performers on Wall Street today was Tesla. It's had troubles of late.
That's right. Well, after 7 straight losing weeks, Elon Musk's electric car company continued its decline on Monday's trade amid a backlash over his relationship with Donald Trump. Tesla's stock plummeted 15%, suffering its steepest drop in 5 years. Its price is half of what it was at its peak in December, when the company hit $1.5 trillion in market value. The stock's recent decline has been accelerated by weak sales in January and February around the world, partly due to consumers boycotting the electric cars because of Musk's meddling in politics. Sales in Europe last month halved from a year before, and shipments to China also plunged 49%. Investors are also concerned the company's CEO is spending much of his time in Washington instead of being in the driver's seat at the car maker, while insulting political leaders on social media and supporting Germany's far-right party.
For a while, Elon Musk was the driving force behind Tesla's brand equity. And now we can say that he's actually contributing to its decline and erosion. And remember, brand images take a long time to build up. And when they're destroyed or unraveled, it takes a while to rebuild them.
Meanwhile, Yuka, China's retaliatory tariffs against the US have also taken effect.
Well, Beijing began levying import duties on some US farm products in retaliation to Donald Trump imposing additional 20% tariffs on all Chinese goods. Separately, China announced steep tariffs of up to 100% on certain Canadian products, a move seen as a warning to Ottawa not to cooperate with the United States on trade. Luke Schrager has the details.
Mutual benefit and a win-win scenario. That's what China said the United States should be seeking on Monday, as a round of levies from Beijing went into place on American farm products.
No matter how the US whitewashes it, they can't cover up their attempts to politicize and weaponize trade issues and contain and suppress China. Be it a tariff war or a trade war, they all start by harming others only to end up ruining themselves. The US should learn lessons and dance to a different tune.
China's tariffs include 15% on US products like chicken, wheat and corn, and 10% on soybeans, pork, beef and fruit. A response to Washington's additional levy on all Chinese products, which US President Donald Trump raised to 20% last week. With the US buying far more from China than the other way round, it gives the US a far longer list of sectors within the Chinese economy it can target. Beijing, though, has sought to protect itself in other ways. It's previously cut taxes on its own companies that export to the US and sent goods to other countries, leaving Washington pressuring Canada and Mexico to tax low-cost Chinese goods more. However, Beijing announced 100% tariffs on Canadian canola, pork and other foods over the weekend, directly targeting some of Canada's largest exports to China, ostensibly a response to Canada's tariffs on Chinese imports last year, as Ottawa sought to support its electric vehicle manufacturers. But there's also a warning there for Canada, not to give in to any pressure from its southern neighbour that could further affect China's trade.
Finally then, Japan held a rare public auction of rice. Tell us about that.
Well, for the first time ever, the government auctioned off a portion of its emergency rice reserves for the purpose of bringing prices down. Past releases from the stockpiles were linked to natural disasters. A combination of poor harvest, increased consumption and panic buying has resulted in wholesale prices of the commodity more than doubling since last summer. The government has about 1 million tons of rice in emergency stockpiles and on Monday auctioned about 150,000 tons of it in a bid to stabilise the market for Japan's main staple food, with more to come later if necessary. The recent shortage, though, was partly self-inflicted. The government has long put in place measures to encourage farmers to limit production in order to protect rural economies by keeping prices high. And that's it for business.
Thanks so much for all of that.